who the first people are to adopt will have a heavy advantage.
Web3 presents some interesting technical challenges compared to Web2.
How are you guys now trying to get to the next level for Zelus?
We have solutions for this, and for this, and for this, and for this, so that you don't have to go talk to 6 different other companies.
Hey, you will use this and you will like it. Move the world in that direction.
Let's talk about the Zelus story.
What is Web3? How do I get a wallet? How do I start?
How do we use Web3 to build products and experiences that actually deliver value?
You guys have already solved a lot of the problems. A brand wouldn't have to start from scratch.
Now I have to get a computer. Now I have to get an iPhone. Now I have to move into this world. And now I get so much more back from these brands because I'm doing it in this new way.
Please enter your RPC URL.
Good morning, everybody, from beautiful Lisbon, Portugal. I'm Jay Donovan, co-founder of Visible Magic. We build Web3 native projects and help traditional Web2 companies transition to Web3. This is our first podcast about all things Web3. And today we're speaking with Traweek and Kyle Mistele from Zelus, the newest, greatest crypto wallet everybody should have. Today we're going to talk with them about their views and vision for all things Web3, challenges they've encountered, trends you guys are following, where you've been, but most importantly, where you guys are headed. And so that's the topic for today. So let's talk about the Zelus story. How did you guys get into the Web3 space? What was the inception of that? Will?
So back in 2021, we were interested in creating NFTs, particularly in the music space. What we realized very quickly upon trying that is that it was almost impossible for anybody who wasn't super technically savvy to set up a wallet, transfer crypto, buy the NFT, and work in the Web3 space. So we set out to create a crypto wallet that would solve all of those problems for the end user, make it just a seamless experience for them to be able to create a new wallet and do whatever they want to do in the Web3 space. What we've realized along that journey is that while the Web3 space is really cool today, there's so much more potential to it. So recently we've begun to add new layers for brands to be able to enable them to create better loyalty programs, in particular, better proof of attendance things. And so now all of a sudden it's sort of like a hub and spoke model. The wallet sits in the middle and all of these tools power around it a far greater loyalty experience and far greater Web3 experience for end users done through the products and services they were already using and interacting with.
Well, tell us a little bit about the wallet, Kyle. What's that center point of the spoke and wheel Zelus wallet?
Yeah, so we set out to build a wallet that was very human-centric. We spend a lot of time thinking about design, about user experience, about how to take something that is fundamentally pretty complicated and pretty technical, and how do we empower users to use that in a very simple, very intuitive, very unintimidating way. And so that's really what we set out to do with our wallet, is to give people a fully functional Web3 wallet. You can still go and interact with decentralized applications and do cryptocurrency swaps and all these kind of Web3 native protocols, but still use them from a very unintimidating kind of human-centric user interface. And so kind of gradually helping users through complex processes, kind of giving them nudges and hints where they might get confused, and trying to abstract away as much of the complexity as possible. So that's really kind of what we're trying to do with the wallet, is take something that's very complicated and make it very centered on you, not here's all the buttons and levers and switches that you can press, but what does the user need, and how can we design something that enables them to get all the functionality of something that's pretty complicated, but in a way that's intuitive.
Yeah, because a lot of wallets out there, they are not intuitive and they're difficult to use, especially if you're somebody trying to you're new to the Web3 space. You're like, seed phrase. How do I,
Please enter your RPC URL. Pardon?
yeah. I mean, so Zelus's approach. It sounds like you're saying that much more user-centric, and I've used it myself, and it is very intuitive, and you just kind of know what to do when you open it up. It's it looks different. It feels good to use. So, what's the target market for you guys? Who are the users you're targeting?
At the end of the day, the user of the wallet's going to come because there's an experience they want to have. Few people, and I think everybody who is in this bucket is already there, but few people want to come into the Web3 space just to play around with token A, token B, because they're nerds who are excited about new technology and want to be early adopters. Everyone in that bucket is already here. Where the next group of people, and where I think our primary target audience comes from, is people who maybe aren't interested in Web3 for Web3's sake, but are interested in what it can do for them. Because of that, we're targeting brands and other different sort of activations to try and create better Web3 experiences. Now the user has a very natural reason to show up, to join the Web3 space, and because of that, they need an easy way to get into it. Boom, they're a Zelus wallet user. So because we're the easiest way to come into the market, now all of a sudden you're downloading our app, you're working with our tools because it's the simplest way to move forward into something that you really want to do.
Well, with the wallet, now that you have this product live out in the space, how do you guys feel about the current market situation, that it finds itself in, the current market for crypto and Web3 products? Where do you see it fitting in?
Well, I think it's no surprise to anybody that crypto has taken a hit at this point. The regulatory environment's uncertain. There's all these sort of things against us. One of the interesting pieces about our wallet, though, is that because it has that more user-centric focus, we can use it for a wider variety of things than merely just whatever the latest crypto token is. One of those use cases happens to be loyalty programs. We've done a bunch of drops with concerts, proof of attendance stuff, all of these sorts of things that really help enable Web3. And I kind of like it because it makes crypto and the Web3 world shine outside of just whatever any individual token is, since now that use case has become more prominent with everything that we're doing and not being drowned out by people shouting about X token or Y. It's now about, okay, well, what are the actual products that we're building? How are these enabled with the Web3 space? And how does that affect things that I was already doing in my normal life? When I go to a concert, I want to be able to show off to all my friends that I was actually there. Mm-hmm. I now get a proof of attendance NFT for that. When I go to a bar crawl, right, I might, traditionally, you get a little coaster with a company's logo, but the company's not able to engage with you. Now they can assign you an NFT when you go to that first bar. And then when you go to the second, you scan the QR code on the thing again, and now all of a sudden it levels up. So now it shows that you've really engaged. The company loves it because they get a further touchstone with you. All of these sorts of things Web3 enables, and now we're able to highlight those aspects for everybody. They're able to see it more clearly because they're not thinking about token A or token B.
Yeah, and it's really kind of cleared the floor, almost like a little bit like a wildfire. For the things that we really need to grow, we had to clear out a lot of the noise and from everything from zero interest rate environment, there was a lot of funding in the space, and there were a lot of people building things that were very cool Web3 things, but didn't necessarily deliver value to consumers or to companies. And so where we're seeing the market going is shifting from focusing on that to how do we use Web3 to build products and experiences that actually deliver value to the companies that are maybe offering them and for the people that are engaging with them. So it's kind of like an ownership layer that you can build loyalty or experiences and all these different products on top of, which is what we've seen with some really successful Web3 programs like Starbucks' Odyssey program or the Reddit Avatars program. So that's definitely a really big trend that we've seen.
Yeah, real utility.
Yes.
the experimentation is always going on, but now growing up, it feels like it's starting to grow up into real products.
Yes,
So
100%.
there's always technical difficulties to go along with that, like congestion, network congestion. How do you guys, as these products are growing up, how do you handle the technical challenges that are happening in the environment all the time?
So Web3 presents some interesting technical challenges compared to Web2. I know you mentioned network congestion. For example, Bitcoin recently had a lot of network congestion, and it was because a lot of people started building things on Bitcoin. People figured out how to make NFTs on the Bitcoin network, which some Bitcoiners were actually unhappy about. But it was a lot of builders coming together and working on something new. But because of how Web3 and how blockchain works, that that creates a lot of demand for usage of the blockchain, which raises fees. And so, on one hand, that's kind of a negative thing because it means you're paying more for transactions. But on the other hand, it's a positive signal because it means that more people in the space are they're having an aha moment. They're like, oh, there's something cool here. How can I explore that? And so part of it is just, rolling with the punches. Some of it's implementing technological solutions, like getting better at, estimating blockchain fees. But some of it's also human-centric, like how can we guide users to behaviors that will help them avoid the problem, right? We can inform them, hey, network congestion is really high right now. You could consider doing this later. Or, if you want to get really clever with it, tell us you want to do this right now and we'll schedule it for you later when congestion's lower. So exactly. So both human solutions and technological solutions.
Well, what about even beyond that, like something that makes it easier for users, makes the product work better for them? What about the security aspects behind it, right? You have a pretty extensive background in security. It can't ever there can't ever be a security breach, right? That's a catastrophic thing. So how do you guys plan your take security seriously? How do you do that?
Security in the Web3 space is obviously particularly important because a lot of it is financialized. But I think what a lot of companies in the space miss is you need your traditional cybersecurity, like your kind of Web2 security measures, because you can't have Web3 without Web2, but you also need Web3 native security controls for all of the things in the Web3 space that you're doing. And so as a cryptocurrency wallet, like you mentioned, having a major security breach is a catastrophically bad event. So we really try and take a defense in depth approach where we have multiple layers of defenses and safeguards and controls for all of our different systems and components. We get security audits usually on a quarterly or halfly basis. And so that's something that's really important to us. We have just different types of testing done. We have automated controls. There's some vendors that we use in the space that either provide security for us or provide additional security for users to help protect users of our wallet from scams and from phishing. And so just having kind of a multi-pronged approach and having layers within layers within layers of security is really how we've tried to design our approach, because that's what we believe is best for keeping our users secure.
Yeah, that's a good approach. And once that users feel good about the security, letting them know how secure your product is good and can lead to mass adoption, right? And you guys, obviously anyone that builds a product is looking for mass adoption. What do you think, how are you planning to, beyond UX, which is obviously something that's really important to you guys, how are you trying to build mass adoption for users coming into Web3? Transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3, do you have any other, you mentioned concerts, things that people are doing anyway that now have a Web 3 component to it. What are some concerts that you've worked with or?
So one of the approaches that the Web3 world has tried in the past is by just shoving the Web3 aspect down people's throats. And I think when you try and force people into the new technology in a very hey, you will use this and you will like it sort of methodology, people don't want that. They want to do the things they're already doing, and they want cooler things to do. And so when you can find ways to enable loyalty programs in better ways and maybe hide some of that complexity from the user, allow them to sort of drip into this new world where all of a sudden now they've got, oh, I've got this NFT and it's part of my avatar. Reddit did a great job with this. And oh, that's actually an NFT that's on the blockchain space. Okay, well, what is a blockchain? What is this? And now they're able to sort of delve into this in a, it's a smoother transition really. So I think part of the goal here is to get brands and other companies that already have followings, that already have people who like them and are already doing loyalty programs to start to transition some of those into the Web3 space. It helps the brand enable bigger and better things to do with their loyalty program. And it's better for the user if all of their loyalty programs are in the Web3 space. They have more interactability between them and much more than that, although probably not for this question. And so if we can help brands transition, users will have to transition almost as a subset of that. And then when they realize what's gone on, they'll garner interest and they'll begin to start to interact with this in a more meaningful capacity.
And what we've seen people do wrong sometimes is they will take, they'll try and take like, oh, your concert ticket's now an NFT, or our entire loyalty program is Web3. And what we've really seen the most successful people in the space do, and what we've had success with, is meeting the consumer or the customer or the user where they're at and meet them at somewhere they're already receiving value. We'll mention concerts or loyalty programs. Find somewhere they're already receiving value. You can add a Web3 element to it, like Starbucks did with their Odyssey program. The stamps already unlock benefits and experiences that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. So they're already delivering value to you and you're already engaging in the program. And then kind of what you do is you say, hey, you've already taken part in this experience, you've already received value from it. There's another cool element to this program that if you're interested in exploring, creates new opportunities for you to interact or engage and creates additional value for you. So once people have interacted, once you've delivered value to them and once they're invested, then you kind of invite them to explore this other dimension of your program and whatever it is. And so instead of just shoving it down their throats, you deliver value to them first and get them to invest, and then you just open the horizon and say, but there's more, and like we're here, it's here, and we're going to help you through it, and we're going to hold your hand through it, and we'll make it easy for you.
And you've already done it.
And you've already done it. Yeah, you've been doing it, and you didn't know you were doing it, and so that's kind of how we've seen people craft the most compelling experiences out there.
Well, I know that like sometimes when it seems like a really natural, it makes a lot of sense. For example, a ticket, like ticketing. Yeah. When I think of like NFTs, Web3 and ticketing, I find that very fascinating. ETH Denver, I remember they had their tickets were NFTs.
They were.
And it's like it's almost like I used to keep concert tickets when I was a kid, and these are much more dynamic. And it was a really interesting way for me to like remember that event and even have dynamic information coming to me about the ticket. So I thought that was
And back to how Web3 actually enables the consumer to do more, to do better things too. When you bring a concert stub in, it doesn't do anything for you. Now we can say, oh, you've been, we're X band, and the last 4 years we visited your city, you've shown up to all the concerts. You've been with us from the get-go when we were playing a 200-person little bar. That's something meaningful. We want to now give you a VIP access that you're not going to pay for. You get this because you've actually been following us. And we can prove that because it's there on the blockchain to show. Now all of a sudden, I get rewarded for all this loyalty stuff. And even like small indie bands can have a loyalty program that only a Fortune 500 company was able to put together just 2 years ago.
Yeah, it is for the masses, right? It's something that's not controlled by a central entity.
And it provides a set of building blocks that are easy to work with, but that you can use and kind of combine in creative ways. And unlike a traditional software system where you kind of have to figure out the different components and elements that you need. If you're doing a Web3 activation, you can just hand out concert ticket NFTs for each of your events. And then because it's a protocol and it's composable, you can build things on top of that over time. Like Will mentioned, you don't have to design that in from the beginning, but you can then just look and say, okay, people have these tickets, what can I do with that? Well, you can, give someone VIP tickets if they have, if they can prove that they've been to your concerts using these NFTs, or you could unlock, special portions of your merch shop to reward your most loyal fans. And because it's composable and standardized, it lets you do things like that and even connect and engage with other, brands, or for example, going to the band example, if they, had another band kind of opening for them, then they can collaborate and do something together, because those, the NFTs and those are open standards and it's composable, and so you don't need to figure out how to connect two different loyalty programs, because the underlying kind of blockchain substrate, it's the same protocol, so it's shared, and so it's social by nature.
Yeah, you're not locked in one way,
exactly,
to one platform, etc. Cool. I was about ready to say, let's talk trends. We kind of have been, talking trends about ticketing and loyalty, but seriously, what's your future hold? Like, what are your guys' future plans? I was country when country wasn't cool. That's what a lot of crypto guys. I was crypto in 2014. You guys have been there, watching this space for a long time. So, how are you guys now trying to get to the next level for Zelus? What's the plan?
Well, I think the period that we're in right now, put your head down, build, and set everything up so that when brands start feeling safer and want it to move more in this direction, we're there. There are already some brands that are more go-getting, that are a little bit more risk-taking, that are really, really interested in this space, and we're helping them right now. Eventually, brands that are a little bit more cautious will see, oh, these other guys are now leading the pack. I don't want to fall behind. They'll join. But that's where things are moving. It's undeniable that the cross-compatibility of these loyalty programs, the ease of putting one together, and the new functionality that this now enables, this is where every brand will be in a decade. Who the first people are to adopt will have a heavy advantage. And so we're trying to help them get there now, and then later along partner with those who decide 2-3 years from now, hey, we want to start moving in this direction too. You've helped others, now help us too.
Mm-hmm. And so part of that, what that looks like a little bit for us, is making it as easy as possible for them to get into the Web3 space, and to make it as low risk for them as possible. So what we've seen is, some brands have done activations that went really well. We talked about some of them. Some did activations that didn't go as well, where they created a program or an activation, and I won't name names, but and they had all these other Web3 companies helping them out, and those companies' logos were plastered all over the brand's activation and marketing materials. And we really want the brand to be the hero of the story, and we want to put them in the spotlight. And so, we're focused on building white label tools so that we can put the brand center stage. We're focused on building things that make it as easy as possible to kind of get users into that gentle progress of gradual disclosure that, we talked about, where you help them use a program that they don't even know is Web3 until you're ready to, deliver more value to them through it. And so building tools that help get users into Web3 without knowing it, without making them download cryptocurrency wallets, or without making them learn new terminology. And so building things that make the user experience easier while also putting the brand center stage is very much the direction that we're headed in.
In the same way that a few years ago when we set out to build a better crypto wallet, the landscape, it was so difficult for a new user to figure out, okay, what is this crypto thing? What is Web3? How do I get a wallet? How do I start? The landscape was terrible. Today, when a brand wants to start a Web3 loyalty program, Starbucks, for example, you see 3 other companies' logos. And that's not a fault of, when you go through the loyalty process with them, that's not a fault of Starbucks. It's just an aspect as to what tools were available at the time. They did the best they could with what was out there.
And they did a great job.
And they did an absolutely incredible job with it. What we're trying to do is say, okay, now here are better tools, brands, when you want to go and enable a loyalty program. I already recognize your logo as a consumer, so I trust you. I shouldn't have to bounce to another company's website that I don't trust and don't know and wonder, oh, okay, is this safe? What is this? I don't recognize this company. Right. If it's 100% you, then it's easier for the consumer and the brand to both say yes to what is really an obvious choice as we see it today. Now we just need to help others realize that that's the case.
Yeah, and kind of also providing the full suite of tools, because, you know, a lot of the activations right now, because everyone wants to kind of be a horizontal layer in a stack from a technology perspective, because there are advantages to that. You can serve a much broader market. But so for the brand, they have to go find a wallet. They have to go find someone to do their NFT minting. They have to find someone to build, you know, the plugins to their website and all these different pieces. And so they'll end up using 5 or 6 different vendors for each of the different pieces of the puzzle. And so what we want to do is kind of be that vertical stack for them. And instead of trying to serve the entire market, kind of we have solutions for this and for this and for this and for this. And so we're your end-to-end program so that you don't have to go talk to 6 different other companies and then figure out how to plug all their, you know, different pieces of software or programs into each other. We just want to be the kind of end-to-end solution for a brand that's trying to attach Web3 to whatever type of activation they're trying to do.
Okay, it's like a, full one-stop shop, right?
Exactly.
Like a Zelus, you know, you guys have already solved a lot of the problems that are out there over time. A brand wouldn't have to like start from scratch and reinvent the wheel, because you guys have already put together. That's a smart idea. And I think, brands will, having worked at brands myself in the past, like they need things to be easy, because there's a lot going on from day to day from an operational standpoint. So there's not a lot of time always to solve those problems on your own.
Yeah.
You can't be an expert in everything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you need someone to kind of hold your hand through the process and kind of give you a white glove like experience, because they don't want to set up software themselves. They don't want to plug in your API. They just want you to give them something that just works.
Cool. Two more questions. What's the coolest thing, you know, we've talked a little bit about, you know, Starbucks. Is there any other cool cutting edge things you guys are watching that you've seen that you like, that's felt inspiring to you guys? Anything? What's the latest?
As I say, you're more plugged in.
Yeah.
Well, I think I kind of laid a lot of my cards on the table with that one already. We have kept a really close eye on Starbucks. Because they're, you know, nobody's program's perfect, but theirs was very good and it was very successful. Reddit's same thing, very, very good and very successful. Nike, especially in the space with their .swoosh program and tying digital collectibles and NFTs to actual shoes, like a physical line of shoes, has been something that's really interesting and is a broader trend that we've seen. And now you're seeing some more luxury brands get into the space, like Louis Vuitton and Dior are now starting to kind of explore tying digital collectibles to you know, real life goods that also then combine to unlock experiences. So we're seeing a lot of different people build pretty innovative things that just combine all the different elements of you know, their product or their experience with Web3 and it's still really early for a lot of them, I think, but it'll be really interesting to kind of see where they go.
All right, last question. Why? What would you guys say to people out there why they should move from Web 2 to Web 3? What's ultimately the benefit, and so why would they do that?
Well, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem insofar as there need to be cool things out there to do. I think it really does actually start with a brand, which is why we're building out this suite of tools. When there are more things to do, when there are more loyalty programs, whatever, it's a natural transition and you almost have to do it. Think the internet. When everybody started putting things online and there's delivery and now you're ordering everything online and all that, okay, well, now I have to get a computer. Now I have to get an iPhone. Now I have to move into this world. We'll be there in a handful of years in the Web3 space, but there need to be better things out there. So we're trying to help move the world in that direction with these brands, creating these loyalty programs, etc. And then it's just a natural transition. Oh, I get all of this extra functionality if only I plug in through this website. If only I download this app. And now all of a sudden, the concerts that I go to, I get more premium experiences just because I'm, showing up as I already was, and now I'm actually tracking the fact that I am. I now have cross-promotional opportunities between brand X and brand Z that I was already working with and already buying things from. And now I get so much more back from these brands because I'm doing it in this new way. There will be new things for people to do, and then the adoption's just easy.
Will, Kyle, thanks a lot for joining us today and talking about this fascinating space. Can't wait to see more of what's going on with Zelus and your great wallet that you make, great products that you make, and how you guys are growing a lot. So
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thanks
Jay.
so much
It's
for
been
having
great
us.
to be here.
all right. Jay Donovan from Visible Magic, thanks for joining us. See you next time.